Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into a Tuesday morning edition of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt each and every morning. We are here on BettingPros.com, always being brought to you by BetMGM with the offer $10 bet to win $150 on any event. Promo code Juice150 at BetMGM, BetMGM.com for new users. Juice150, that promo code to get into $10 wager, win $150. We're always on BettingPros.com, YouTube for the video, and wherever you get your audio podcasts, where, I'm frustrated. It looks like the Warriors are going to beat the Atlanta Hawks, so we'll go 1-1 on our NBA plays. So down the juice there on that, and then we're down a full unit because of the, or 1.1 units on the day, because the same game teaser does not hit. Now, I'm not going to go too crazy here, okay? I'm very frustrated with the referees. I'm very frustrated with the turnovers, and those are two bad football teams. I mean, the Steelers are not a good team, okay? Maybe you're a Steeler fan, but your team's bad, okay? It's a bad team. And the Bears are horribly coached, and they have horrible turnovers, and Matt Nagy is just a horrendous leader of that football team, and just the whole thing. But the referees were the worst. Steelers stink. Bears stink. Refs were embarrassingly bad. I mean, on both sides, embarrassingly bad. And, well, I mean, the Bears cover. The over hits. The books did very well there. A lot of people on the under, a lot of big money on the under, and a lot of folks were on the Steelers in the public. About 60-40 split at the most numbers I saw. Bears cover, and I teased it, and we pulled it down. We would have gotten the teaser right, pulled it down to 1, and if we had taken the over, pulled it down from 39 to 33 and taken the over, we would have cashed. But I didn't trust the Bears' offense. And I also didn't trust them to turn the football over and to gift the Steelers multiple scores. Didn't see that coming. I thought they would be at least competitive, and they were competitive, but then I thought the Steelers defense would be better and stop the Bears' offense, and it didn't. So, I'm done with primetime unders. That's it. That was my last time. I will not bet a primetime under. I'm also done with same-game parlays for a while. I know a lot of you guys want, including me, I want to have action on the primetime games, but the numbers are getting sharper and sharper, and it's just a frustrating thing to bet totals right now. I mean, it really is. And games that probably should have stayed under, that game should have stayed under the 39. It should have stayed under. And instead it goes way over and gets into the 50s, and you just kind of shake your head at it. You're just like, my goodness gracious, how many flags and just really ticky-tack personal foul calls, taunting calls, just ridiculous flags all over the place from that refereeing crew. So not a good night. Bad read by me. No more same-game teasers for a while because I can't get the totals right. I'm getting the sides right. I'm pulling the sides down, and if I'm tempted to do a same-game teaser, I just should take the dog. If I want to go from 7-1, just take the dog. Just take the points and just kind of hold my nose and hope it's not a blowout. And in the primetime games, they're not turning into blowouts because the referees are going to make sure it's not going to be a blowout. So, just a bummer. All right, so here we are with our conversation for college basketball, okay? I have 2 plays for us tonight, and I have 2 futures to give you, including a 2-unit future that I'm going to give you because I think we need to get on it because I think it's that much value to hop on it. And I don't normally do 2 units, but I think there's value. We're going to lay a little juice here, but I think there's value on jumping on this. So we'll do that. Right now, if you guys go listen to the Sharps Report, you can hear a half-an-hour conversation with myself and Brian Bevan, who is an avid college basketball gambler. 30-minute talk on the first week of games. We break down 5 different games, and also a lot of future conversations and outlooks for teams and breaking down some long shot bets and things you might want to get into. So go listen to the Sharps Report if you like college basketball before you bet here on a Tuesday for college hoops. Go ahead and jump in on it. All right, so let me give you a quick rundown as to what I'm looking at for college basketball here. We are going to tiptoe in. There are a couple of things that are about to happen that have not happened for over a year. Crowds. College basketball is the most difficult sport in all of sports to win on the road. All right, it is so difficult to win in some of these crazy barns and going to, nowhere, Iowa, or going down to Florida, or going up to, Washington, or go to Spokane to go take on Gonzaga. I mean, it's just incredibly difficult. And in November, we have a lot of neutral site games that are going to have fans, like the big event coming up here at MSG with 2 games, big games tonight. I'm going to wait and watch. Like, we're going to watch Alabama, right? How does Bama look shooting threes for Nate Oates' team? We're going to watch the Creighton Blue Jays do those first half overs come in like they did last year. We're going to watch Villanova. Are they going to be killing people again in the Big East? Or are we going to be watching Gonzaga? Are they just heads and tails better than everyone else that they're going to play? Are we going to be able to fade UCLA? I'm not buying UCLA by any means. They were a couple of possessions away from losing in the play-in game, and they went all the way to the Final Four. Now everyone's like, they're a top 10 team. Really? Whew, okay. I mean, could have fooled me. I mean, they were in the play-in game, but fine. Like the Pac-12 did very well in the tournament. We all knocked them all year, and in the tournament, they were awesome. So we're going to wait and watch, okay? I'm going to tiptoe in. I know we want to have some action, so I'm going to have 1 unit in play. I've got a half unit play, 2 half-unit plays to give you guys. But look, if you want to fade it, you want to follow it, do whatever you want with this. I'm not going heavy by any means, and I really want to watch college basketball tonight. So we're not going to do NBA, not going to do NHL. I'm just going to bet some college basketball. But let's start in the futures market, all right? Let's talk about Villanova, who at DraftKings right now, you can get Villanova to win the Big East at minus 105. It was even money at certain books. I think offshores, you could find it even money. You can look around. Look at BetMGM. Look around. Regular season, not tournament, okay? Regular season. You can get this right now, at DraftKings, for Villanova to win the regular season crown in the Big East. They're going to win the regular season crown, all right? This is a 2-unit bet for me. It's minus 105. They've got Colin Gillespie back, who's going to be the preseason. He's going to be the player of the year. He's preseason, but, I mean, the kid's been around forever, okay? 5th year, suffered a torn MCL late in the year. He is the emotional leader of this team. He is going to be an unbelievable force for this Wildcats team as long as he stays healthy. He's a guy who just stirs the drink. He averages about 14 points per game, hits a bunch of threes. He's a guy who plays big minutes. I love this dude. I think he's going to be a monster weapon as long as he stays healthy for this team. Once again, there is depth upon depth for Jay Wright's team. You have Caleb Daniels, who's a guy I think is going to have a very nice year. Justin Moore was a preseason second team All Big East selection. He will step up here. He'll be a scoring option, a guy that came off the bench last year, but will step into a shooting role, into a starting role here. Jermaine Samuels is a guy that will come in. Eric Dixon at center. Look, there's nobody, and I mean there's nobody in this conference that's going to come near to Nova. Connecticut is plus 470, okay? They are way, way back. Xavier plus 700, Butler 19-1, St. John's 20-1, Creighton 22-1. Okay, this is all Villanova, and you're basically getting even money on Villanova to win the Big East. We're going 2 units here. Regular season crown runs through Nova in Philadelphia. I just don't see anybody in the conference coming near Villanova. They're probably going to run away with this and hide, to be quite honest. And I just think it's a down year for the Big East, except for everybody else, except Nova, who I think is a Final Four contender. Again, national championship contender. Again, when you bring back a guy like Colin Gillespie, you got to watch out for what Villanova and Jay Wright are going to be able to accomplish. Nova to win the Big East, minus 105. 2 units we're dropping down on this. And I've got one more future bet. It's a 1-unit wager, and we're going to the Missouri Valley. If you're new to the juice, by the way, get used to Big East and Missouri Valley. Big game. 2 conferences I bet on a ton. Pac-12 too. But those are kind of the 3 conferences I look at. I do bet Big 12. I do bet Big 10. But my history, my knowledge, my eye all go to those 3 conferences because I watch them the most and I have the most experience covering them and watching these games. We're talking about Loyola Chicago, which, interestingly enough, Loyola Chicago to win the Missouri Valley regular season conference title is plus 150. Now, I love me some Drake, okay? But we're going to see what Drake looks like. They've lost a bunch of players, including one to Kansas. They lost a bunch of players. You got Loyola, who lost the head coach in Porter Moser, who went to Oklahoma. Totally understand it, okay, what happens. But they've only lost one player. I mean, Krutwig's gone, okay? They're big from last year. But they're bringing back, like, everyone else. Like, everyone else. They got Lucas Williamson. They got Braden Norris. I mean, they've got Keith Clemens and Caleb Hudson. I mean, these dudes, they're going to be deep, and they're going to be really hard to deal with, and they've got a really young head coach, okay? But this is a guy who was the right-hand man, and he was a guy who, I mean, you could say Porter Moser did a lot, but Valentine was right there. And so they've got a new head coach who's young, but he's got a very experienced team. And again, I mean, Drake is probably their number one contender at plus 220. Northern Iowa plus 500, Missouri State plus 650, Southern Illinois 19-1, Indiana State 30-1. This is Loyola, man. They are experienced. They know how to win. They expect to win, and they could be a top 25 team this year if everything comes together, and they may make another run in the dance. Inexperienced coaching, fine. That comes into tournament play, and that comes into the NCAA tournament. Not in the regular season, okay? Loyola, regular season, one unit at plus 150 for Loyola Chicago to win the Missouri Valley Conference regular season. Those are my only two future bets in college basketball. Okay, the rest of it, I'm not really sure what happens. Okay, I think we're wide open here on a lot of these conferences. I think the Big 12 is wide open with Texas or KU. Don't sleep on Baylor, Purdue, Michigan, Ohio State, all three of those teams, Illinois as well in the Big 10. You got to watch out for them. I think St. Bonaventure is a pretty good bet to win the Atlantic 10, but a little bit ups and down. And look, the ACC is wide open in a lot of ways. North Carolina is 5-1. That's insane value on the Tar Heels. It's insane value on the 5-1 on the Tar Heels to win the ACC with how talented they're going to be. I know they got a first-year head coach. You know, having those transitional years can be difficult, but Hubert Davis coming in 5-1. I don't know. I mean, everyone's going to bet Duke at plus 230, but it's Coach K's going away year. So that's where we're going to start here with what we're watching. Well, let's start with Kansas and Michigan State first, and then we'll get to Duke and Kentucky coming up here tonight. Okay, so it's obviously a monster game. The Champions Classic is always awesome. Everyone wants to watch this, right? Everyone wants to be involved. Number has climbed to minus 4.5 for Kansas. Kansas won't be at full strength due to a DUI. They've got a bunch of transfers coming in, okay? This is going to be the story of college basketball in 2021, 2022. All these new faces. Remy Martin is a baller. I love this kid. Remy Martin going from Arizona State, where he was Mr. Do Everything, to Kansas, where he's got all these other players around him. Huge. Huge. But game one? Game one? I mean, Joseph Youssefu, a player we fell in love with Drake last year, he's on Kansas. Like, he's another transfer coming in on Kansas. It's crazy how many players have transferred and moved around and are on new teams. Kansas is going to be really, really good. Okay, they're a Final Four contender. They're a national championship contender. But this is Tom Izzo. All right, this is Tom Izzo, game one, out of the gate. Not saying I don't like Bill Self, but we've watched these games enough. When Michigan State, because of the way that Izzo is and how well he coaches and how well he gets his players ready, you're giving me 4.5 points on Tom Izzo. You might get 5. You might get 5.5. The public is all over Kansas, okay? All over Kansas. But what's crazy is that normally in these games, they come down to 1 or 2 possessions, and the Dogs historically have had a really good record against the spread. I got over a possession. I got Michigan State plus 4.5 here. Maybe we get a backdoor, some late free throws, something coming down the stretch. Half a unit. I'm taking Michigan State. I'm taking Izzo. Michigan State to come up. You guys may get a better number than me. I got 4.5 tonight here in Vegas in the Champions Classic. Unbelievable event. We always know that sometimes early in the year, maybe people don't know how good they are or where they are. KU's got a better roster. There's no debating that. I'm taking the better coach. I am taking Tom Izzo and Michigan State at plus 4.5. And then let's talk about Duke and Kentucky. Numbers 1. All right. Paolo Banchero, the 6'9", 250-pound dude, shooting threes, runs, could be the number 1 pick overall, former Gatorade Player of the Year in Washington. I mean, if this kid plays the way people think he could, now they're not comparing him to Zion. He doesn't have Zion-type athleticism, but he may be a better all-around player than Zion. He may be a better passer than Zion. A lot of people like this kid a lot. This is Coach K's going away season, all right? We know that Coach K is retiring at the end of the year. Both North Carolina and Duke will have new coaches coming up next season, which is kind of crazy that we're talking about new coaches, but Coach K is handing things off, and he's got John Shire there for the run, and then it's his program. And Shire's been recruiting really, really well, and this talented team for Duke is going to be really, really tough to deal with. Kentucky is going to be Kentucky. But Kentucky, like everyone else, has all these, transfers coming in and freshmen coming in. It's, can they put everything together? Can they put this roster together? They're going to be really good in the beginning of, probably conference play. But right now, I don't know. I mean, this is Coach K against Coach Cal. I'm a UMass guy. Coach Calipari, my freshman year, went to a Final Four. I'm a Coach Cal fan. I like Coach Cal. But in these games, there is a little bit of a coaching mismatch, and you better believe that Coach K is going to be locked in all year long on this season to go out and try to win, ACC regular season, ACC tournament, and the national championship in his final year of coaching. I'm going to go with Duke here. I'm only laying a point. Duke -1, half a unit, taking Duke over Kentucky at -1. Could be a defensive battle, could be a lower scoring game than people think, but I'm just taking Duke because a couple of reasons. Well, one, I think Coach K, but two, it's going to be a pro-Duke crowd big time. I mean, so many Duke. It's why they play in this thing every year. It's why they play in the Champions Classic. It's why they play at MSG. It's because Duke fans, there are so many Duke fans in New York City. They go there, they move there for the financial district, the financial jobs, and they just go bonkers when Duke comes and plays at MSG. I'm not saying Kentucky can't win, but again, we're going light because it's early. These are tough games to call. If I go 0-2, I go 0-2. So be it, okay? Fade it if you want. I'm taking Michigan State +4.5 and Duke -1, both for a half a unit, all right? So Nova to win the Big East regular season at -105 for 2 units. Go shop around and find that. And Loyola at +150. Let me see real quick because this number was moving tonight. And I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the best number. It's the number I got, but I want to make sure you guys are getting the same best number that I got for the Big East for conference winners. Looking at the Big East, and yeah, it's still -105. That's great. So it's -105 for Villanova to win. Again, just so you know, in the event of a tie, the winner of this bet, the conference 1 seed wins this bet. All right. So if Nova has the same record as somebody else and they lose a tiebreaker, we lose. Okay. But if they win a tiebreaker and they're the 1 seed, that's who it is going into the tournament. Whoever the 1 seed is for the tournament in New York for the Big East, that's who wins the bet. So 2-unit bet. I never do this, but it's a future wager that I think has tons of value, and we should get plus money on both future wagers like this. We're not getting it. So we're going 2 units at -105 at DraftKings for Villanova to win the Big East, and Loyola at +150 to win the Missouri Valley Conference. You can shop around. FanDuel's got that right now. DraftKings too for Loyola Chicago to win the Valley. Sorry, not the Big East, the Missouri Valley Conference at +150 for 1 unit. My name is Matt Perrault. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. Each and every morning, it's the Daily Juice Podcast. Always being brought to you by BetMGM.